Al Hassan Ayash, Your Honor.
Thank you.
That's all I'm here for, Judge.
All right, thank you. All right, this is case number 230-569-4801, People of the State of Michigan versus Al Hassan Ayash. I've got Mr. Kuja and Ms. Posigian. Are you here on this one? Okay, thank you.
Yes, I am.
Okay, counsel, go ahead, please.
Good morning, Your Honor. Anna Posidian, P75788, on behalf of the people.
Good morning, Your Honor. Jamil Kuja, P71963, appearing on behalf of Al Hassan Ayash. And we'd waive
Thank
reading.
you. All right, the court notes formal reading has been waived and enters a not guilty plea on your client's behalf. I will hear arguments as to bond.
Your Honor, I would reiterate everything that's contained in the investigator's report. I would note for the court, though, that the defendant was on bond. At the time he committed this offense, he was on bond for felonious assault, felony firearm case that stemmed from a road rage incident. This case is novel. The suspect, though, is charged with involuntary manslaughter. So he's facing 15 years in prison if he's convicted as charged. The people would be asking for a high cash bond, be asking for $500,000. We'd also be asking for a GPS tether with home confinement.
All right, thank you. Mr. Kuja, you're muted.
Yes, sorry about that, Judge. I understand he was out on bond for a case. I think he had a personal bond in that case. And I just note that when this happened, he's at work. He is by no means involving himself in any criminal activity. He's at work performing his job. And what their theory is for this involuntary manslaughter, I've never seen this before, but their theory is to hold him responsible, criminally responsible for the intentional crime that's committed by somebody else who he does not know. He's I think 21 years old. He's working at a gas station as a clerk. And there's a dispute with a customer who doesn't want to pay for his items, so he locks the door. And their theory is that, well, this man said he's going to start shooting people. Mr. Ayash opens the door. I understand that people didn't react quickly enough because the other person pulls out a gun and starts shooting people instantaneously. But he calls the police and he locks the door so the thief can still be there when the police arrive. He's a young man. He panics in the situation. I'm not sure, that's been tested before, that they're going to hold one individual criminally responsible for the intentional act of another. So I'd ask the court to really consider setting a personal bond with a tether because it's really not fair while he's presumed innocent to hold him in custody while the people test out a legal theory that's never been done before. I'd ask that he be released. If there's really no concern that he reappear in court. He's not a flight risk. He doesn't have a passport. He's never even left the country, Your Honor. He hasn't even left the state in like 10 years. He works. He lives in Hamtramck with his parents and his younger siblings. He was working at the gas station to help provide for his family. They don't own the gas station. He was just working there as a clerk to help provide for his family. And again, he was doing his job. Did he panic and maybe react inappropriately, in a way? Maybe, but that's the best that they can argue here. And again, the criminal act, the intentional act, is committed by another person. All he was doing was he called the police and was trying to get that man to wait for the police. That's all he was doing. He's not a danger to anybody, Your Honor. He wasn't armed with any weapons. I'd ask the court to seriously consider a personal bond, if not, to consider a $25,000 10% bond with a tether.
May I briefly reply, Your Honor?
Go ahead.
With regard to the facts of the case, I didn't want to get into those too specifically, but yes, the defendant locked the thief and then shooter in the gas station, but he also locked in three innocent bystanders who, over the course of almost 8 minutes, in an increasingly hostile environment, were begging and pleading and screaming to get out of there. They offered to pay for the defendant's or the shooter's I think it was an iced tea and donuts. They were doing everything they possibly could. And the clerk unlocked the door about 15 seconds before the shooting happened. So it's not that the door was unlocked for a long period of time. People were pulling, kicking, trying everything they could to get out of there. And they were stuck in there because of the defendant.
But again, Judge, the gun wasn't produced. It's not like he saw a gun and still kept the door locked.
Well, here's what concerns me. I mean, according to this investigator's report and according to a video that was reviewed in writing up the investigator's report, it wasn't just the locking of the door. It was a participation in escalation of this situation and then locking the door while people were begging to be let out and not unlocking that door. I mean, so to me, the concerning thing is what's turned into, you know, somebody getting away with what, $5 worth of goods, I don't know, has now turned into a homicide. Because, I mean, I won't go into the details of the investigator's report either, but I will tell you what I'm reading is a participation in escalating this situation and then a refusal to unlock the door when people were asking him to do so. Now, I understand your argument, counsel. He didn't shoot anybody. And he was, you know, making bad decisions in the moment, and people do that. Officer Johnson, do I have a sheet? Is this what you're giving me?
Judge.
All right, thank you.
If I could just say one thing, for bond, the purpose of bond is to protect the community and to ensure his reappearance in court. We're not, you know, arguing what the appropriate punishment is if he is guilty.
And that's why what I'm reading in terms of participating in escalating a situation that escalated to violence concerns me. That's why that part is concerning to me, because I do have to consider community safety. I don't think there's a flight risk here. He's got family in the community. He's got a job. I don't think he's a flight risk. Will his bad decisions continue to endanger people? I don't know. I don't know. You know, frankly, I could remand him given the fact that he's already on bond, but I'm not going to do that because I don't think this rises to that level. But I am going to impose a cash bond, and I am going to impose a tether here. I'll hear any other argument you wish to put on the record, but there will be a cash bond in this case.
Okay, Judge, in terms of how high the cash bond should be, like I stated, he's working in basically a minimum wage job at a gas station. His family doesn't have much assets, right? He lives in Hamtramck with his parents, his two parents, I think four younger siblings. He's retained counsel. He maintains his innocence. And like I said, the theory to prosecute this man is to say he is criminally responsible for the intentional act of another man who, unbeknownst to him, had a weapon in his pocket and pulled it out and fired it. That's an intentional act by somebody else. He calls the police. He sits there. He cooperates with the police. He helps identify the shooter. His assistance to the police is what led to the arrest of the shooter. I mean, this man couldn't be any further from a danger to the community. I get his judgment ended up putting people in danger that day. But to say if he's released, he's likely to again endanger others, I think is quite a stretch, Your Honor. It's pretty unlikely. He's not working at that gas station anymore. I wouldn't oppose any condition of, you know, not being employed as a cashier. But Judge, just, you know, I understand the court wants to set a cash bond. The presumption is still a personal bond, even in a manslaughter case. The presumption under the court rules is a personal bond unless the court finds that a personal bond is not likely to ensure the safety of the community and his reappearance in court. And if not, then set the minimal conditions that would assure that. So I think if the court wants to set a cash bond, I think a $25,000 10% bond with a tether is more than enough to ensure the safety of the community and his return to court.
Okay. Have you had an opportunity to read this investigator's report? You've not, have you? If I'm referencing it, I want to make sure that you know why.
Right.
So,
no, I don't have it, Judge.
Okay, all right. I know they don't get provided to you guys often, so I just want to make sure. So, I mean, as I said, my concern is according to this investigator's report and according to the video that was reviewed in preparing it, the first person that references a possible shooting is the person in front of me. That concerns me. It
Well,
concerns me that they're saying they're taking that statement directly from a video that they reviewed. That's a concern, because
Judge, will tell
I
you
don't
this.
know, because if somebody is saying that and then locking numerous people in an environment and not letting them out, and then it escalates in the way that it did, I can't hear that and find that there's no role in what happened. So I'm going to set
It wouldn't
bond.
be the first time I get a video from the police and their investigators report doesn't line up with the video that they then produce later. It's a one-sided document that's being prepared by the very folks who want to prosecute him after they saw his cooperation, right? After they saw his cooperation, got it, and then after the issue blew up in the media, then they went back and treated him as a defendant. That's what took place. This happened over, I think, about 2 weeks ago. After they got his cooperation, once the case received media attention, now we went back, we're going to treat this man as a defendant. He didn't have any weapons, so I don't know how they're referencing that he said he was going to shoot somebody. He wasn't armed. And he didn't know the other person was armed. He didn't know the other person. He called the police himself and wanted that man there until the police arrived. They've been robbed over and over again at that gas station.
All right. He will have the benefit of a bond redetermination hearing. That hearing will be set for, is it Monday, Madam Clerk? Tuesday. All right. The bond redetermination hearing will be set for Tuesday, May the 23rd, in front of Judge McConico. All right. At this time, because what I am reading does indicate to me a participation in the escalation, and that represents a danger to the community. Bond is set $200,000 cash, no surety. If he's able to make that bond, he must be fitted with a GPS tether with full home confinement.
Judge, you're not giving a 10% or a surety?
I'm making this $200,000 cash. The bond redetermination hearing will be May the 23rd in front of Judge McConico, and he can certainly reduce the bond at that time, given your arguments, if he sees fit. And perhaps you've had a chance to see the video by that time, and you can certainly speak to how accurate the reflection is in this investigator's report. But at this time, $200,000 cash. I do take investigators' reports with a grain of salt. I'm always particularly interested in the objective evidence that's mentioned in the investigator's report versus just someone's statement. This is a line-by-line timeline of statements made according to a video that was reviewed of this incident. So perhaps you'll have a chance to review it by that time. And if it's inaccurate, certainly that would have affected my bond decision. And I will tell you that right now on the record. So $200,000 cash, no surety, bond redetermination hearing May 23rd in front of Judge McConico, June 2nd for probable cause conference, June 9th for preliminary examination. That one's set for 1:45 p.m. These are going to be in front of Judge King.
Thank you. Could I ask Ms. Pasegan if she can provide me an email with the investigator's report and the video now that he's been arraigned?
I'll give you a call tomorrow.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.